Welcome to Hope for Your Pelvic Floor, the podcast where we stop managing women's symptoms and start making sense of their bodies. I'm Claire Sparrow, Pilates educator, pelvic health specialist, and best-selling author. Here, we talk honestly about what women are told, what the evidence actually says, and how to make real change and how that happens. Welcome. Great to be back on another episode. Last week's episode, I'd not even spotted it. It was our 50th episode. So season 5, and it is episode 50. That has blown my mind. Every week I feel so honored that I get to be here and share, and that you followed and saved and shared and you believe in what I have to say, and you keep giving me great topics to talk about, and there's so much to share. So I'm thrilled that I'm still here 50 episodes in, and this is 51 today, which is very exciting. Before we get into this episode where I'm going to share a way of really thinking about your pelvic floor, which will, I hope, change your perspective forever. That's my goal anyway. I wanted to share a little bit about something exciting that is coming very soon. I hinted about this in episodes, will have been 48. So at the beginning of season 5, that I've been working on something new, something exciting, based on all the incredible questions and feedback from the listeners, from my members of the Whole Body Pelvic Health membership, and the hundreds upon hundreds of DMs that we get every week on the Hope for Your Pelvic Floor Instagram. And it's all to do with incontinence. What I've created is a brand new course. It's a short course and it is very specific to incontinence. It explains to you the difference between the different types of incontinence, how you can identify which one, or if you have both. And it's a series of exercise classes that will help you to actually tackle it. We've got short ones that are like a minute and 5 minutes, and then we've got longer ones which are 20 and 30 minutes long. And they're very tailored and specific to that one goal that you might have. And it's coming really soon. I'm very, very excited about it. I put so much work into solving all of the kind of barriers that you might have to doing it. So it's going to be really cheap. The classes are different lengths and easy to do. So you don't have to have an hour to go ahead and work on your pelvic floor. You can even just do a minute and it will make a significant impact. Look out for this coming soon. What I invite you to do to make sure that you don't miss out on this new course is to follow the link in the show notes below, where you can register for my newsletter. That's where I'm going to announce it first. So it won't be on the podcast. It will be in my newsletter list. So to get your hands on that course first, and there's also a freebie that you'll get first too, you need to be in that email community. And I do not spam you, I promise. I literally share something of value, some kind of tip, trick, exercise, a lot like the podcast, sharing and busting myths in that newsletter. So I hope that it is always adding value. That's what I wanted to share with you at the beginning of this episode today before we dive in. So I hope to see you in that community and be able to share with you first about this new course that's coming out. And maybe next week I'll tell you what it's called, because we've been around the houses trying to decide on a name for this one. So hopefully you will like the name for it. All right. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that might sound counterintuitive. It's a lot to do with hypertonic pelvic floor. And we've talked a little bit about hypertonic pelvic floor before in previous seasons. And today I'm going to really dive deep and give you a physical example so that you can bed in this different understanding. Now, we're told all over the globe that you have to strengthen your pelvic floor. I know I've talked about this and will continue to talk about this forever, but the idea I want you to have today is that to reconnect, because I It's not just as simple as strengthening. To reconnect your pelvic floor, you have to let it go. That's right. You heard me right. To reconnect it, to get it to work spontaneously, you have to first let it go. What women are told, what we're all told, what I was told forever was squeeze it, lift it, hold it, engage it. All of those things. What I'm saying, instead of squeeze it, lift it, hold it, engage it, is to actually release it. Give it space. Put less effort. And not just less effort, but less blame almost. And it's not that you're blaming it. It's just that culturally, we're putting all the pressure, all the blame, all the focus on the pelvic floor needing to squeeze and strengthen. And it just isn't that straightforward, as you know. So what I'm going to share with you today is a little exercise that's going to help you to really feel why that's important, why it will change everything for you. To reconnect, you have to let go. I promise. Particularly those of you that have maybe been diagnosed with a hypertonic pelvic floor. Maybe it's not been told to you in those words. Maybe somebody's just said, oh, it's really tight. Or maybe you're feeling proud that you have a tight, clenched pelvic floor. Actually, for your pelvic floor to function, it needs to be able to lengthen. To understand this a little bit better, I'm going to invite you to join in a little exercise with me. If you're driving, you can't do it later. But if it's safe to do so, I want you to join in with me. What you're going to do is just make a fist with one hand. So you're making a fist and make it quite firm as you can really without hurting yourself, obviously, but just making a fist. Now, very slightly relax it, not fully, just a tiny bit. So you're still holding the fist, but you've just let it go a little bit. And then clench again, and then let it go a tiny bit. So keep doing that, clenching and letting go a tiny wee bit. Notice as you do that, there's not really much movement. There's not much range there, not much power in it. You could even say not that much strength there. Okay. Now, in contrast to that, open your hand out wide. Feel how nice that is. It's a relief. Open it out wide. Spread out your fingers into full kind of stretch from there. From that stretch, from that lengthened out phase, now make a firm fist and then stretch out. Keep doing that. Feel the difference, the power in that fist from stretching it out and then bringing it in versus when we were already there trying to get some power. Feel the range that you get. Keep going. Couple more times to really feel the difference. And maybe you need to go back to the fist and clench version to compare. But there is a lot more force, power, strength, and range that you can get when you lengthen out first. All of our body needs, muscles everywhere. There needs to be some traveling distance. There needs to be somewhere to move from to find that strength. Open to closed, lengthened to contracted. That full range is what gives it strength. So if you've, like I did, I remember being told to pull my belly button in. I remember being told to pull up my pelvic floor. Like that was just what you had to do forever. It wasn't even. This was long before I had anything going on with my pelvic floor. But I was told, pull your belly button in, you'll get a flat tummy. And then I was told, pull up your pelvic floor for a good core and do it all the time. Doing it all the time is exhausting. It's dysfunctional. It means that the pelvic floor doesn't have any power. This is why I was incontinent as a young dancer when I would jump or laugh, because there was no range. There was no ability to lengthen and then contract. It had no power. And it was so it's counterintuitive now still, even I think, when I think of it, that It's mind blowing. When I was young, it just made sense at the time, pull everything in. And I'm sure that it was the same for you. If you're listening, there's probably a lot of you that were in the same boat as me, where you thought you just needed to pull it all in and that would fix everything. And I remember thinking, as I bridged into creating my own method to questioning this Kegel approach, that I remember thinking, but just be so much easier and less time consuming and just less of a distraction in my life if I could just squeeze it and hold it and that be it. It would be easy for me just to squeeze it and pull it in and that was it. The reality is that just isn't enough. It doesn't make any sense for how our body works. Another image that you could use, so if you're driving and you couldn't do the hand exercise, you could think about an elastic band. A fully stretched out elastic band, if you let it go, it's going to ping and recoil. It does that job. That's how our body works. But if it's always held, always in tension, the energy of that, the recoil is weak. And that's a key difference that I'm going to really talk a lot about this season, is what weak actually means. And in this case, what we're talking about is that the recoil, the energy coming back in to support you is weak. It's not the muscles, it's that strategy that's weak. The pelvic floor works on this same elastic principle. So many nerve endings in there. It's highly fascial, which is the connective tissue. You've got all the ligaments and tendons above that are also really working in support of your pelvic floor. It's not working on its own. This is huge. I know it might be a little mind-blowing for you to think about letting it go. So I want to hold space for that for a moment. I do really understand the fear that comes with letting it go. That moment on the doorstep where you think you're going to weigh yourself if you don't get to the loo in time, and actually tensioning and squeezing is creating more of a difficulty in that coordination, and relaxing might actually be what you need to take the pressure off. It's a whole mindset reframe. I know it. It really, really is. And in whole body pelvic health, we always release the tension. We lengthen the pelvic floor before we add the loading types of movements, before we do things to strengthen and recoordinate. Not that we're avoiding doing certain things, we're just setting up the conditions for the work that you do to truly, truly mean something, to last in your body, to be logical. One of the things that women say to me so often when I explain to them the whole body pelvic health method is just that it makes so much sense because it's logical. It makes sense. It's working with your body rather than against it. Okay. Another way that we can think about this is with your breath, which we've talked about lots before. When you're inhaling 3-dimensionally, not belly breathing, not chest breathing, definitely not shoulder breathing, but gentle 3-dimensional breathing. No force, just breath. Your pelvic floor descends and opens, it lengthens out. And when you exhale, naturally, without you having to tell it, it will lift, it will respond. That's the hope anyway. The rhythm here is recoordination, not a squeeze, just a simple breath. We're doing it all day long. So really, you could say you're doing pelvic floor exercises all day long if you're getting that 3-dimensional breathing. So one of the big questions that I get asked when I explain this idea of the importance of having to let go before we coordinate is, well, why are we then thinking about it? Why is it that we're conscious of it when we do the whole body pelvic health method? Why are we cueing things and talking to the pelvic floor? Well, This is a common question because we have to go from, unconscious, the unaware that our pelvic floor is not coordinating, or maybe we are aware that it's not coordinating if we're weeing yourself on the doorstep, but hey ho, but we have to go from a place of your pelvic floor not knowing what to do to learning what to do. There's a process, and you will have heard of it before, I'm sure, but the 4 stages of competence. So that beginning point where your pelvic floor is unconsciously incompetent. Don't know what you don't know. That's it. It doesn't know what it doesn't know. And then consciously incompetent. And you can think of this as yourself, that you're conscious that your pelvic floor is not doing what you want it to do. You're aware of it not working. And then consciously competent. You can do it. It coordinates, but you have to think about it. What that might look like is when you're doing squats at the gym, you have your legs together rather than apart to help to activate the pelvic floor when you're doing it. You might use a strong exhale. You might have to cue the bones of the pelvis closing and opening to help coordinate it. And then unconsciously competent. This is the holy grail. This is where we're going. When it's working, it's automatic, it's spontaneous, there's no effort whatsoever. And then we can challenge it from there. And that last stage really is the goal. A pelvic floor that knows just how heavy the shopping bags are before you pick them up. It prepares for the sneeze before it happens. That's what we really want. We don't want to have to think about a sneeze coming and must quickly cross my legs, because that's what lots of us have had to do. That might be what you have to do now, prepare to sneeze, but we can't always do that. That can't be for the rest of our lives, especially when there are other things that you can do. You want that pelvic floor that responds without a single conscious thought. Let's just think about that for a moment. Think of the relief that you will feel when you no longer have to think about your pelvic floor. Imagine the freedom. Imagine the capacity that you will have, the energy that you will have, the pursuits that you can get involved in. This is such an exciting opportunity for you. It can become unconsciously competent. That's what we're aiming for. Once it's reestablished, you just don't have to think about it anymore. What I would love you to think about now is, where are you? Where are you in the 4 stages of competence? And think about it as an opportunity. Are you in that consciously incompetent? Do you think that your pelvic floor is just giving up the ghost? This is your reminder that actually it hasn't. You're conscious, it's incompetent, and there's something you can do. And it may be the opposite of what you think you need to do. It really is important that we let go before we can reconnect. It's how it will reconnect, not just that it's important, it's how it will reconnect. So when it comes to hypertonic pelvic floor, bringing it right back to if you've had that diagnosis of hypertonic pelvic floor, your body can be stuck in that state where it can't lengthen out. This is where we will use imagery to help to lengthen your pelvic floor. We might do an exercise where we talk to the bones and the muscles will follow. So widening the pelvic bones as you breathe out, widening them as you squat or you rest into a child pose, or lie on your back and hug your knees in. Thinking about your sit bones opening like flowers opening, or your pubic bone and tailbone opening like flowers opening, to help to teach those muscles to lengthen. And this will take some time, but honestly, it is so worth it, because then you will build that unconscious competency with your pelvic floor. It really is possible. I promise you, it just is a different approach to the one that you've been told. And if you think about it, if you've got a hypertonic pelvic floor, so it's short and tight and doesn't have that capacity to lengthen, and you've been told to squeeze, i.e., shorten it, clench it, make it tighter, does that make sense for how your pelvic floor needs to work? And I'm going to leave that as an open question, because what's really important to me with whole body pelvic health and here on the podcast is that you're getting information to make conscious choices for yourself. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. I'm giving you information so that you can choose, and you get to choose. Wow. So your pelvic floor does not need more effort. It needs more room, more space, lightness to become unconsciously competent. This is the work, and it is so different from squeezing at the traffic lights. And I understand that can feel so strange at first, but your body already knows how to do this. This is like the baseline of your body that you're going to go back to, that you can rediscover. So we're not teaching it something new. We're helping it remember. We're reminding it of something it always knew. Your body is so clever. So incredibly clever. If you want to go a little bit deeper on this and ask more questions, or to talk through what it means for you specifically in your body, come and join us at the Pelvic Health Cafe. It's a free online chat. We get together, no pressure, just women from all over the world with great questions, great conversation, great answers to share in support of wherever you are at in your pelvic floor journey. And the link to that will be down in the show notes as always. And of course, if this episode resonated with you, please share it. It means so much, because more women will get the message that they need. Even sending the link to someone so it helps them really makes a big difference. I want to remind you, as always, there is hope for your pelvic floor. Thank you for listening. And if there's one thing I want you to take away, as always, you are not broken, you are not behind, and you are certainly not alone. There is always hope for your pelvic floor, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.